You use Excel to analyze data and make decisions, but there is a mechanical friction tax on every move you make. Reaching for the mouse, navigating to a menu, clicking, and returning your hand to the keyboard takes about 2 seconds. This bar chart converts those micro-interruptions into an annual timeline. Over a standard working year, those 2-second detours pile up into dozens of hours, entire working days completely lost to physical hand travel. The standard advice for fixing this is to go online, search for a cheat sheet, and download a massive 100-plus item PDF containing every hotkey combination ever programmed. That approach fails almost immediately. When you are on a tight deadline and trying to finish a complex task, staring at a giant wall of text to find one specific command induces pure cognitive paralysis. You default right back to the mouse because it feels safer. We are going to throw that master list away. Instead of trying to memorize a dictionary, we are going to use an ROI-based framework. To achieve mastery, you must ruthlessly curate a tiny, targeted set of shortcuts that yield the highest return on your cognitive effort. This 2x2 matrix evaluates shortcuts by weighing the mental input required against the physical time saved. We start with Tier 1, the quick wins. These are universal commands: Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste, Control-Z to undo, and Control-S to save. These commands immediately eliminate the need to right-click for basic actions, and having a reflex for the save and undo shortcuts prevents catastrophic data loss. But knowing these keystrokes only bring you to the baseline of modern software usage. They do not make you a power user. To get there, we move to Tier 2, the high ROI quadrant. This tier is focused entirely on navigating and highlighting your spreadsheet. By holding down the Control key on a PC, or the Command key on a Mac, and tapping an arrow key, your cursor instantly jumps to the far edge of any continuous dataset. Add the Shift key to that sequence. Pressing Control, Shift, and an arrow key allows you to instantly highlight massive, thousands of row deep blocks of data in a fraction of a second. This completely reduces scrolling fatigue. More importantly, you manually click and drag your mouse, inevitably missing a few rows at the bottom of a column. There is a trade-off here. Forcing yourself to abandon the mouse for navigation will cause your working speed to drop temporarily. It will be frustrating for a few days while the muscle memory forms. Despite that initial discomfort, pushing through and mastering Tier 2 navigation is the single largest productivity leap an average user can make. Looking back at our matrix, we reach Tier 3, the power keys. This quadrant is for users building heavy financial models or doing intense data analysis. The key inputs are hitting F2, opening Paste Special with Ctrl-Alt-V, and utilizing the F4 key. When you are writing a formula and need to lock a cell reference, creating an absolute cell reference so it doesn't move when you copy it, pressing F4 instantly toggles those anchor dollar signs without any manual typing. Combining these Tier 3 commands allow you to construct, edit, and audit complex, unbreakable models entirely from your keyboard. But the cognitive load is high. You aren't just memorizing key presses anymore. You have to actively understand abstract spreadsheet logic and reference structures on the fly. This comparison table shows how your choice between a Mac or a PC changes your ROI calculation. Windows has a distinct built-in advantage called ribbon accelerators. When you press the Alt key on a PC, letters appear over the top menu. You type those letters in sequence to navigate the menus. A PC user can trigger any function, setting, or format option purely via keystrokes. macOS lacks this sequential native ribbon navigation. While modifier shortcuts work, you cannot drive through deep interface menus using just the keyboard. A Mac is perfectly adequate for intermediate analysis, but if you rely on deep menu functions, it imposes a hard speed ceiling on professional modelers. At the highest levels of spreadsheet optimization, your operating system will dictate your maximum potential efficiency. The trade-off is simple. You sacrifice speed today to build a permanent, faster workflow for the rest of your career. This flowchart maps out a practical system to avoid cheat sheet paralysis. We call it the sticky note protocol. You choose a tiny batch of shortcuts, write them down, force yourself to use them for a week, and only move on once they become subconscious. If you are an overwhelmed beginner, your instructions are simple. Completely ignore the F keys and the advanced menus. Write only the Control and arrow key navigation modifiers on your sticky note. Do not add anything else until jumping to the edges of your data happens without thinking. If you are an intermediate analyst, you need to push past standard navigation. Put F2, F4, and Paste Special on your sticky note. Force yourself to use them to edit cells and lock references during your next major reporting deadline. Finally, for the aspiring power user building financial models full-time, if you spend 40 hours a week in Excel, the ROI dictates that you must transition to a Windows PC. You need those alt-ribbon accelerators to strip out the remaining physical friction. The overarching rule for everyone is the same: never print out or reference a 100-key master list ever again. Efficiency comes from the deliberate, incremental curation of muscle memory, which removes the physical delay between your thought and the execution.